think that's gonna be like one of these conversations that you will probably watch again, because there's gonna be a lot of very powerful energies coming through that I can already feel, and I've been feeling them for the entire day. So a little bit about Mariya. So Mariya Molduvanova is a global ascension guide, ancient soul, obviously, a 2 times best-selling author on a mission to help as many conscious leaders to reach their soul's highest possible ascension point, merge with their highest timelines of abundance and prosperity, fulfill their purpose, and become the ripple of change on earth that they came here to be through her high vibrational vortexes retreats, courses, and one-to-one multi-dimensional sessions. And this is definitely something that we are going to expand on also what you're doing for the humanity. When she's not helping her clients elevate, you can find her walking in nature beside a body of water, dancing, drawing light language art, and constantly stretching the edge of her comfort zone because she loves the art of ascension and evolution. And on a personal note, I will say that I think we got to know each other in January of this year. I think that was like the date I remember that we spoke, I think on the 2nd of January, because I remember I was still like kind of feeling into the energies of the new year, and that's when you came. So our first conversation was very profound, and ever since we've been also co-creating on the classes together. And I absolutely love everything that you're doing, so that's why I decided to invite you to the show. So welcome, Mariya, and now I'm basically handing over the microphone to you.
Thank you, my dear. It's long overdue. It's been a long time coming, this conversation. And yes, I believe we first talked in January, but we connected right after I came back from UK the first time in November. That's how we actually connected, which was very interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that our connection is actually reaching throughout different timelines. And that's actually one of the things we are going to speak about, because actually I would say that this is one of the things that we have in common. We help people get on the best timeline as possible. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We are living in a very important time of transition, of ascension for many of us. And we are here to co-create and create something absolutely new and unseen, which we were basically doing with the classes. And it's been a wonderful teach, learn experience. And I love that you started with the way we are connecting and mentioning that will be a conversation probably that both of our audiences might need to listen to again. And I invite everybody right now to listen not just with their ears, but to listen with their eyes, with their hearts, with their inner perception. Because right now we are not just talking as the humans, but we have a multidimensional conversation between all the levels that we are.
Absolutely.
We are not just these humans, these vessels. We are multidimensional beings.
Totally. And actually, very often, I think that's very important what you said, because very often when we listen to other people, it's like we listen to other versions of ourselves. Or there are often, like I often say, that guardians are speaking through people, and this way I actually understand it this way, that sometimes we are just feeling guided to just like respond to somebody in a specific way, and they are like, that's exactly what I needed to hear today. I'm sure that some of you who are listening to us had this kind of a situation. I have that like on a daily basis. And then I actually realized that, as you say, we are in co-creation. And there is so much of the interaction that is actually, technically we are in the third dimension, but at the same time, there's so many different spaces existing at the same time that they are just blending with each other. So in order to be able to experience those different spaces, we actually need to have different conduits of our perception opened. And how that's been in your case, I'm sure that many people are wondering, how is it with your multidimensional perception? How did it exactly open? What's your story with that?
Well, that's actually a very long story, but to cut it short, for the most of my human journey, human life, I did not have the multidimensional awareness. This is something that came online pretty much within the last 2 years, with the majority of very exponential, very rapid growth and expansion in consciousness within the last few months. And I will put the date like starting in November until now.
But I think that's wonderful. You know, I would say that this thing that happened with this COVID pandemic, there's been many terrible things happening during that period, but at the same time, it was like the moment when so many beautiful souls finally awakened. From my perspective, like I was supposed to awaken like 5 years from now when I was looking at my timeline. So I would say that this has been like a calling from different aspects of ourselves. Like it's time to wake up because this planet needs us now. We cannot basically wait any longer, right? Have you also been feeling this?
Yes. And the difference, or something worth mentioning, is that it's not that I did not awake, or I was not aware until recently. It was more so the way I designed my being and my experience. I needed to be more of my human previous self up until recently. So I can communicate and I could reach and be the bridge for more people. But in all honesty, and especially with the awareness, and we had that conversation, with the awareness that I have now, my awakening and my consciousness, my internal self, first anchored in 10 years ago. And that is very important to mention, because at the time, there was not that much awareness of what is happening to me. And again, it needed to happen this way.
Can you explain a little bit more to those who never heard about you, what exactly happened 10 years ago?
So, in my human experience, 10 years ago, I woke up one day and I could not keep my hand up. I could not swallow solid foods. I was choking on water. It all happened in one day, but they were all different symptoms that were coming and going. There were weird stuff going on with my eyes. My voice was completely gone. I could not speak. It was...
Yes, I remember that you were sharing that experience in one of your books. That's been extremely touching. When I was reading that, I had chills all over my body, and now I have the same kind of an effect. So that feels like that was a very strong experience, but at the same time, it was the beginning of your transformation, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very much needed. And I will say the dates. I don't put any meaning with it. If you want to expand of any of the meaning, I'm giving you permission. But from the human perspective, that happened in 2014. And at the time, to my awareness now, my consciousness was needed to be here as an anchor, as a frequency, as a pillar, more so than me being aware of what I was doing, or the frequency that I was anchoring. But my body was not ready for it, because the being that I am, the presence that my internal self is, it's so huge that, especially 10 years ago, there is no way for this to fit in just one body. And even that, as you know, there's many of me as a consciousness.
Yes.
And we are kind of spread all around the globe. At the time, we did not have the frequencies as a collective to easily facilitate such transition. And in a way, my own journey, my own transition facilitated what is happening now. Because you had your own transformation in recent months, many others did, of your internal self anchoring within your body. But now let's say we already have the recipe, because me and others before went through what we went through to anchor those frequencies.
That does make a lot of sense. From my perspective, what started to happen around 2012, even a little bit before 2014, is that we received this internal creation host, where we were basically starting to work with the plasma body. But the thing is that certain beings knew that it's not gonna be enough, that we actually have to, because again, we would have this bipolarity, like you've got this external creation, light body stuff, and then you've got this internal creation, plasma body. But where is this third component? I'm always searching for the third element that unifies both of the aspects. And there we have the eternal creation spectra. But these energies, they are so huge that actually one single body cannot take it. And that's why right now, with all of those upgrades that you and other people did, when we bring these eternal frequencies, we spread them automatically to our past and future selves. And that is actually creating like those, it's actually not really even like a linear formation, but like a circular formation. So we have these beautiful spinning wheels of cosmic identity, right? That's how they are activating. We'll speak about those clocks later when we talk about the counterparts, but I just wanted to say that this is actually something that I sensed that was happening to you, where you brought in this huge task to get these eternal frequencies in motion, but at the same time your body was still holding certain things that you were not even aware of, like, you know, certain spells, magic, you know, all of those weird stuff that we pick up through our ancestral imprint and that we need to clear. So that's what you, and as you said, many other people experience. So if any of you is listening to this and you also will, and right now you are like, oh, that's what's been happening to me, and it doesn't even have to be in 2014. I would say there was this 8 years, again, we've got like the octant cycle from 2012 to 2020, where basically this process of that transition was coming through. And I kind of came at the end of 2019, when almost everything has been already cleared out. But that's been a challenge to actually set these frequencies in motion, I feel.
It's been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm at a point where it's like you once you get the third way, like you said, it's finally you're in neutrality. It's not one or the other. It just is.
It's the unity, right?
So is it a challenge? Is it not? It just is. It was part of the process. It's something that we went through, and now we're here, and now we have the internal selves. Now we have the vapor body. Now we don't have to work hard to go through one to the other to the third body. We can use our internal self, and we can just vaporize everything. And
it's this simple, right?
It's always simple. It's our human mind that is trying to make sense of things that cannot be comprehended with the human mind. That is making it difficult.
Absolutely. Actually, that's been something that I often have, like on the personal sessions where we are clearing a certain imprint, and, you know, he or she, they can feel that it's gone, like, right, it disappeared, and they are asking me, like, is it really gone? Because it's been with me for so long. And now actually, when we have all those higher frequencies, we can just burn things, vaporize, as you said. You don't have to work so hard with removing all those things. Everything is becoming much more simple, and you can do more things within a very short period of time. So it's about kind of sometimes, I would say, letting our higher self take over, if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense, because that's pretty much what I've been doing ever since I entered her in 2010, even then I didn't have 2014. Even that I did not have the awareness. I have the inner knowing that was moving me through the process. I didn't see it, but I knew what is next.
There was trust that you had in that process.
Yes. And it is that trust that moved me through all of the different experiences. Because in the beginning, there was another thing. And again, it's not that it's good or bad. It was how my experience was designed to go into all the different places, all the different teachings, all the different programs to learn. And it will be, okay, I'm hearing this, and it feels right. And in the next sentence, it doesn't feel right. And moving through it, it's funny, but you know what it means. I kept hearing, okay, yes, not this. And then it was, oh no, that's not what I taught you.
Well, let's get to that part where it's been really funny when I think we just came across each other and you were like saying like, I was teaching you. And I'm like, yeah, you were. That's been extremely interesting.
It's been extremely interesting, and it's been beautiful to witness, and in a way to be witness through it, because you're one of my first student teacher that can actually see the connection and can actually see what is happening. Because in all honesty, I've been doing this for the past at least 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
As my higher self, I've been teaching the next life leaders, the next teachers, and in the same time as my human self, I've been learning from them. And it's like, okay, this is what I taught you on that level. Let's see how good you perceive the information.
Right? And I think that's actually that's the one thing about so many different teachers in this spiritual movement, and they all have to learn this from somebody. And now the question is, who are you learning from? Where does your information come from? This is something that my I would say my guardians, my eternal self has been always telling me. Like, I was learning to heal different templates, like I was being just shown these different etheric templates at first in my visions, and they were asking me, where do you take your energy from? Where does it come from? Because you need to know what is the source of the energies that you're bringing to somebody. And that's also the same way with the teachings, where you need to know what is the source of your information. Did some kind of angel channel that to you? Or did you actually also got it like through remembering what you were doing in the past with it as well? Because that's very often also something that takes place. We either learn from other aspects of ourselves, also from the future, or from the past. So that's why there is a distinction, right?
Yes, and I actually think that it will be good to explain. You've mentioned it before, but again, as you're mentioning guardians, the guardians, that's not something outside of you.
No, they are me and I am them.
it's the same thing. With me, it's a higher aspect of me. It's another aspect of me.
Yes.
And in this regard, I love what Caroline usually gives us description. I don't have guides. It's all means. It's just different means. And I think that's one stumble. Is stumble one word? It's the barrier that many of us are stumbling on.
Yeah.
And it's stopping our further ascension. Because in the beginning of our awakening, that's how it is. It's a progression. We are looking for information outside of us. We are looking for a teacher. We are looking for a guru. We are looking for someone to guide us. Because that's how we are taught for so many years.
It's a part of our programming, isn't it?
That we need to listen to somebody. We need to go to school to learn. We need to go through job training to learn. So it's always a need. We need to learn it from somewhere. But we forgot that when we came here, we came with, how to put it in human words? Let's say everybody is complaining that we came here without a guidebook or a manual.
Right. Just.
But in all actuality is that we have we came with a whole hard drive, thumbstick, whatever is the word that we are now using, with all the information. And it's all saved inside of us.
Absolutely.
And we just need to remember that, oh, I put that file in that folder and I totally forgot that folder existed.
Absolutely.
Imagine you're changing computers and old computers you try to transfer the information as you're changing vessel. And transferring the information, you're forgetting that in the computer you have a file, let's say Mimi Old's computer, that has all my previous information, everything I've done.
Right.
And then to bring it to what we were talking about, in one moment in your awakening, you realize, oh, do you know what? I have that massive file with all the trainings that I downloaded from all my past lives, careers, that I can now just go back and rewatch, or I can just say, download the manual of this and this skill. And it opens up like this. It's like, I want to learn how to play with a sword.
Right?
I've never touched a sword in my life. And literally that's how it came to me when I was playing with the sword. And there should be an easier way. I was like, can I just download the skill set? It was like, okay, what just happened? How do I know that?
Because you knew it before.
Because I knew it before. Because I experienced it before. Because I have, as an ancient soul, as many of you, you have so many experiences. We say it joking, like we train for this for eons. But we really did. We already know everything. Because we've done it before. Because where have we been together? We've been together in Lemuria, we've been together in Atlantis. I taught you in a crystal cave in the Himalaya. Was that part of it?
Oh gosh, that gives me chills. I just reminded about this one. Wow, I haven't communicated with that aspect since Christmas.
Right?
Yeah, there's so much. And I think that this is actually one thing where I think that before actually incarnating into Earth, we don't need to prepare so much for it because we know the challenge. We know what we are supposed to do, like us being this eternal Elysian self consciousness, because that's kind of like from the level that most of us came from, the Elysian self, from these Christic playgrounds of the eternal internal creation. We knew what we are agreeing for, because actually, if you look at it this way, because we tend to see all of those versions of Earth in separation, like, you know, we've got the Earth and Tara and then Gaia and Aramatena, but we actually forgot that Earth is a part of Tara, so they are one. Tara is a part of Gaia, so they are also one, and Gaia is a part of Aramatena, so they are also one. And so if we are, and also later this Araya Earth where the Elysian fields are, Aramatena is only a small part of it, actually. So if you look at it from this perspective, if we seated ourselves on the highest level and then we decided to kind of downstep, we knew what we are doing very well. And we still do. It's only a matter, as you say, of pretty much remembering and trying to download all of those information from our template.
Yes, and as you're mentioning this, again, it's a small portion of who we actually are, because we are even bigger than that.
Absolutely.
And if we separate the names, because everybody has different names for things, and if we, how to say this, as part of creation, if we imagine the initial spark, without giving it a name, a place, a time. More of just happening. The beginning of all. Wherever, whatever that is. It's one thing. One. And then it's two. And then it's the duality. So at one point, we were all one. Christing, fallen, hybrids, anything you can name in between. Again, everybody has different encryption, different names for things. And I'm trying to word it this way so we honor all, because this is our journey back to selves.
Absolutely.
We had that conversation. The beings that are doing different things than us, let's put it this way,
that forgot about the fact that we are one, right?
At some point, but we also forgot, I think this is very important to highlight, because we are so focused on just highlighting the living light, the being in light, that we forgot that our shadow selves are part of us. It's like one without the other cannot exist.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. But, and this is what I see in many communities, and that's why I've been in so many different places on my journey, because everybody is focusing on us versus them, that we ultimately forgot that us versus them, it's another level of separation, of distortion, of divide and conquer, if you want to use it as human expression.
I think that's the reason why they can still get to us, because if we are not in this mentality that we are one, but again we create this separation, even if we are like, we are the light and we just fight against the evil, it doesn't work like that. So we have to, you said something that was very much on point, that actually at first we don't remember either that we come from this oneness. So what starts to happen is that actually we kind of start to match their vibrational encryption, and that's how they can attach to us. And then you kind of have that period where you step into light and you become maybe slightly stronger, because you are aware that, okay, I have some power, right? I have some power in me, but that's still not enough, right? You actually have to also stand in that position that I love you, I love myself, and I obviously don't allow for anything that is going to break my free will, but I'm not going to attack you either, because I would start to act on the same principles as you do. So this is the reason why we are still here, because there is still a certain part of us that is basically still in that drama.
But there is one other point, because what you're saying is I will not attack you because I don't want to be you.
Yeah.
But I am you. So it almost comes to the point where, yes, I see what you're doing. No, I don't agree with it. But I still honor your experience. Because that's why we came here. To have different experience. And one is not better than the other. I will not try to convince you that my way is better. Yes, I will show you my way, I will share my way, but I respect your way too. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think you touched on, yes, I think you touched on another important subject that actually it's again, we should never compare our experience to others' experiences, because that's actually when we kind of set all of these projections like, oh, I wish I had this life, blah, blah, blah. You chose this life for a reason, and you chose all the previous lifetimes for a reason. So when you're coming across certain things that you need to release about yourself, certain things that you need to heal or realign, they are being shown to you, certain aspects of yourself, so that you can understand your essence more. Like, people are asking, why is this happening to me? Why did I have such a difficult background? Well, there's a certain reason for it, and now you have to look multidimensionally. Because as I was saying to my client today, well, a doctor wouldn't come up with that, why you're having that pain in your shoulder, because he would never figure out that actually you have like a really bad mark on that shoulder. So that's why actually remembering all of those different aspects of yourself, this is the way to actually begin this process of healing. Well, does that make sense?
It does. And
we are complementing each other, so
it's always an and, because that's where the middle is.
Yes.
One or the other. What you said, why is this happening to me? Well, why is this illness happening to me? To go back to my human experience. No doctor could explain what was happening until I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, so I had an explanation. But as a human, again, yes, it happened to me. It doesn't matter if it was because my higher consciousness was downloading or I had a human disease. As the presence in that moment. The why was not important. Because I had a choice. And in this dimension, more so, this is not a dimension of knowing for many of us, and there is a reason.
And what would you say is the reason?
And even the ones that think they're knowing are knowing very little. we are in a dimension of choosing. As humans, we choose our experience. But more specifically, we choose how to react to our experience. Because in that moment, when all of this was happening, I could have choose to be the victim. Why is this happening to me? Why am I being punished? Or, okay, what am I learning from this? And how I will use this experience to move forward. And in human understanding and human sayings, again, judging the experience bad or good, valuable or not. There is a saying, a story about, I think, a son and a father, and the son had a horse, and he went riding the horse, and he fell down, and it was all like, it's a bad thing that happened and he fell down. But because he fell down, he had to stay home when something even worse happened. So you never know why this experience is brought to you, because something else is happening. And in my own human experience, the disease that I had and me having that experience and me choosing not to be the victim, not to listen to the normal ways. As my human self, I actually, in a way, was the trailblazer of a new way of treating that condition. And that brought ease and freedom to a lot of the patients after me.
Amazing.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. You've basically gone through this, so like you managed to transform this disease imprint within your body, and you set the imprint for others to follow it. That's probably what you mean, right?
Yes. And on the human level, because again, we are downstepping.
Yeah, you basically downstep that imprint.
Manifesting in human form, because so what happened with autoimmune disease, I needed the treatment that I was given was that I needed blood plasma clearing every week.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the way they were doing it at the time was very inconvenient for a lot of patients. They they had to get like an outside, what is called, center line, which is very limiting in your human life because it's something that can bring infections and it's really hard to carry for. But I did I did a research at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my doctor I found something else that is used for cancer patients. How about we use it in this way? How about I have two of those points that are under my skin so I can live my life without having the limitations? And it took a while to convince the doctors, because human doctors. But again, me in human form, having that experience, deciding the mutilation or deciding not to be the victim, I transformed the experience.
Absolutely, and I think that it was what is very inspiring is that you had no fear, that no matter what, you just knew that this is the right thing to do, and that you're, well, I guess for the doctors it felt like a risk, but you knew that this is a path that will heal you on the physical body level, and this way this can be also very helpful for others. So I guess it always comes to this self-trust, and as you said, I guess not always, because we speak about this art of asking the right questions, but sometimes I would say that it takes a while to get the right answers, because the answers tend to come in the divine right timing. So even though I'm technically a psychic and I just like on a daily basis, I'm just looking into whatever is in everybody's field that needs to be cleared out, I actually don't know so much about myself, because these things usually come in the most unpredictable time, and the timing is usually very, very funny. Like I'm just gonna wake up and I will be like, oh, I was who was I that surprised me lately? I was an oracle in Delphi in Greece. Wow, I didn't know that about myself. I guess that's why I want to go to Greece in the first place. So there's been a lot of very interesting synchronicities, because actually, since we are in this dimension where it's not about knowing, but as you said, actually also learning how to use that free will, because in those higher dimensions, not even higher dimensions, but beyond the dimensional scale, where we just co-create everything in the Christic way, respecting everyone's free will is not treated as a duty. It's like a routine, like you're creating your own playground. Nobody is going to, mess with it. That's quite obvious. In here, we are learning to set our own boundaries and actually making that choice and keep making a set of choices that is going to enable us to also have such space in this lower third dimension.
Yes. And like the playground comparison. And I think we had that conversation in the beginning when we met. It is really a playground if you think about it, and we are all children playing games. Some know how to play nice, some don't know how to play nice. But as we are looking and learning as children, we learn how to stand up for ourselves, how to create our boundaries, how to exercise our free will, sort of.
That's a good term. I like that.
But in the same time, the biggest shift, and I think I've shared with you before, it's like until recently, we were playing on an unsupervised playground. On a playground that somehow I will use a visual for this because I'm not sure where she's going with this. But it's like, imagine we entered a playground, and I don't know how it's in Poland, but here in US, usually there is signs
Right.
about the rules of the playground. Let's say this playground, if it's climbing stuff, let's say this playground is only for age 15 and above or something.
Mm-hmm.
But there is rules. And that is interesting. So we are the kids in the playground. The rules are behind us. We are in the playground. We are playing, but we don't know the rules. So we don't know that if somebody that is not supposed to be in this playground comes in and starts bullying us, we have the right to say, you're not supposed to be here. And I'm not allowing you to be in my space. And outside of the playground, here are I will use parents, but it's not parents.
Mm-hmm.
You can use guardians, you can use higher self, you can use older self. If you're not playing nice, if you're not following the rules, I have the right to go and say, please help me. I don't need to figure it out on my own. I don't need to keep fighting on the playground. Does that make any sense?
I mean, this is brilliant. Do you want to finish?
I think that's it for now.
Okay, because I think this is brilliant when it comes.
I will let you translate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, I would say, when it comes to understanding what our eternal vapor bodies are. Because we can say, like, we are calling on our guardians, but, like, we activate this core eternal body in ourselves. And I've been just doing that, like, when things would get very tough with those, certain rebelled entities. And instead of just, like, paying too much attention, I would be just, like, telling my eternal body, like, just please help me, right? Please help me get them out because I'm getting distracted and I'm working on something. And it would be just working, right? There would be this, like, this mist of this plasma vapor just traveling throughout my body and just like closing the openings by itself. So yeah, I would say that this is possible, that we have the rules that need to be followed not only by them, let's say, but also by us, by everybody, right? Let's not make the division again. And that's thanks to the eternal creation frequencies, which basically respect everybody, so everybody can come to the playground. No matter what kind of race you are, what kind of skin color, or what kind of universe you're coming from. No division into like, we don't like the lizards or we don't like the spiders. Everyone can come in as long as they will also want to play the same rules. So I think this is just a lovely comparison, actually.
Yes, and that is the main difference from before and now, because before, again, we did not have those frequencies available to us to anchor those eternal selves. But it's right now, like you said, you have more important things to do, like play on the playground, be your creative self, build castles, build the most beautiful castles, climb the higher obstacle, whatever your heart desire. You're not on the playground to waste your time with bullies.
Exactly.
Go play somewhere else. I have important things to do. And this is where we are moving from the paradigm of codependency, fear, victim-victimizer, everything, to the paradigm of possibilities. Yes, we're here, we're on this playground, we know what everyone is doing because everyone can see it. You do you, I do me. Let's build something from here. You want to join? You're welcome to join. You want to leave your differences outside the playground? You're welcome to join. Yes, we can build the puzzle together.
So it's basically like an invitation for every single spark of consciousness that is out here. Maybe I'm gonna say spark of consciousness because it's not just humans, but also animals, all sorts of other beings can also take that opportunity. And that's why we can also start learning to actually consciously co-create with those smaller forms of life, actually start speaking to them, asking them if it's okay, if I can touch you, if it's okay that we exchange some energy, that we do something together. I think this aspect is also very important. And I would like us to jump a little bit into the topic of the light language, because that's definitely something that you're into, aren't you?
I've been speaking in light language to you the whole time because this is something, again, as we started in the beginning, this is a conversation or so many levels or so many dimensions. I'm speaking to you as my human, but I'm speaking to you as my eternal self as well. And I know you don't like to call it light language.
I would say it could be, yeah. I mean, I started with the term light language since everybody will be like, oh, that's probably some kind of speaking in with some beautiful tones or like with the hands, right? I also started doing that like a crazy. I think you me with that, but like in a good way.
It is very, very interesting, and I'll tell you what. So, in my experience observation, one, how do I explain this? One, I speak when I do the hand gesture and everything is not necessarily the light language. It's level up. It's the language that merges all the light languages.
Well, you just told this to me in my vision when you were making that with your light language. I was hearing like the word that it's merging all of the dimensional selves. So.
Yes. So, again, going to where we all started, without giving names, without giving the beginning of all. The highest essence of all. No time, space.
Yes, I know what you're saying. This is actually something that I'm researching on as some basically like researching, well, working with it myself, as you know, just kind of transcribing everything you taught me about the Urea body, the eternal body, and actually it's the body called the body of the silent vibration. So actually, like the vibration is expressed also through the movement, through the geometric patterns that we are actually making with our hands. So as that is taking place, you're bringing more and more of those frequencies in motion. So that's what I believe that you're doing. Like, you know, when you're basically showing this beautiful light language of yours, it's carrying a certain frequency, like you're drawing the geometries with your hands. And the geometries are basically like, you know, these waves of frequency. We talk about the scalar waves of frequency that carry the information, that are also the electromagnetic waves. And since our bodies are literally waves of frequency, this is also directly going into our templates. But now the question is how advanced your light language is. Like if it is the light language, then it's going to the light body. If it's like a core language, core vibrational language, that is something that is coming in. This is going into those core plasma and urea command templates.
So exactly there you have it. So each body has a different light language. Each level of ourselves has a different light language. So we see what is known as light language. I hear a lot of Pleiadian light language, Orion light language, all the different. And I can actually feel the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I draw the portals that I showed you in the drawings, I can feel as every different being has a different encryption. I draw different languages. So in a way, on the same nation, every being has their national language. But again, as all that we are in the beginning, we all had one language. And I will put the name, just the name Anahazi came at some point, but my understanding is that it's even higher.
Yes, I actually understand that Anahazi is the language of the external creation, like the highest primal expression, like when this time matrix came into place, this is like the primordial language that we started speaking in no matter which form. But if you kind of go into the fields of the internal creation, I don't know if you ever looked into this Crystal River prayer that Azayana has shared. Well, there is kind of like a difference when you're reading this old Crystal River prayer with only those counsels from the external creation. It is said in the Anahazi, but if you kind of go beyond it and like you've got this prayer of Elisa, it has a different encryption, totally different sense of words, and this way you can kind of see that it's a totally different level of the language. And I think that even once we go into those eternal creation fields, I don't think there will be a possibility to like transcribe it to the spoken prayer, because we don't really speak audibly there. It's just like you look at me, I look at you, and we know everything, or even like before even looking at each other, everybody knows everything. There is this is a completely different perspective on it. So yeah, I do agree with you that there is kind of higher than the Anahazi, and then you've got those different languages that are not even spoken aloud. So
and to your how we started, how we transitioned to the light language, because it's the eternal self language. It incorporates the elemental language. It incorporates even the money language, the IA language, all of creation language. You can speak to all men in a way, because there is no separation, no duality. And everybody listening to it will perceive it as a down-step version of the highest level self that they can perceive, have awareness of in a moment.
absolutely. So everyone is gonna kind of like filter it through their own perceptions and draw their own conclusions. Absolutely, that's how it works. And that brings me to a question that perhaps you could give our viewers, kind of an advice how everyone can reawaken this light language within themselves. Would you have any kind of an advice?
Just sit with yourself and ask, what is my light language?
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, this is how it started for me. I had an experience of a dear friend doing a touching record session in light language, and her light language is singing.
Mm-hmm.
And as I experienced it, I remember this. It was like she spoke to my soul. I remember it. How do I remember it? And then after our session, I sat down and I asked, what is my light language? Show me my light language. And the first one, it was kind of singing, voicing. It felt familiar, but it wasn't exact. It wasn't mine at the time. This, as you see it, came a few weeks later when I met my counterpart, actually. It was as spontaneous. I just started I just started speaking this language, and our beings were understanding each other. Even then, in the time, our humans had no remembrance, understanding, or awareness of what was happening.
And well, since you already touched,
That's how it started.
and since you already touched base on that, can you explain what is like the difference between when we speak about those twin flames and the counterparts in your perspective? Because there's like just a lot of different theories, and I would be curious to know more about your perspective on that.
My perspective is that everything I know, it's nothing that I know. Like with everything, it's evolving.
But what do you know at this moment about it? The
How
current
much time do we have?
We have 40 more minutes. I said it, as I told you, it's a 2-hour show, so we don't even have to rush, you know.
No, I know, but when we are in this vortex together, it's linear time don't exist. So
I know.
making sure where we are. Okay, we're here. We are entering here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we are just getting started, so crazy.
Okay. How do we present this? Let's see. Water, twin flames, water, counterparts. I feel like there is a difference. And again, I will share my experience, and you can kind of translate in whichever way it's best for your audience and whatever we're trying to accomplish here, which only our higher selves have understanding of.
Absolutely. Let's go with it.
All my life, I had the awareness that there is someone that I'm deeply connected with. And it's always been that longing, searching, energetically.
I think that's something that many of us feel.
And that's a normal thing because, again, if we go all the way from the place of no names, no the beginning of all, when everything is one, and then there is two, but not two separate things. It's like the one thing, but one is slightly magnetic, one is slightly electric.
Right.
The masculine and the feminine. And you know that, again, this beginning of the all, it's downstepping itself. And even on the internal level, as who we are, we do have the masculine and the feminine both within. So the normal is not a good word. What's the masculine word? The natural progression of us coming to our eternal selves.
Yeah.
Is first realizing that we are the masculine and the feminine both within.
Absolutely.
As well as the light and dark within. So it's the balance within. It's coming to the center of selves. Because let's say if we're as a humans, if we're not in the center of ourselves, we cannot get on the elevator and move up in our awareness. Does it make sense?
Yes, because when it comes to like, there's usually one side of your body when you're like still in the process of realigning different things. There's usually one side of the body that you're struggling with. Like if it's the left side of the body is always base magnetic, so it's feminine. The right side is more electric, it's base masculine. So basically, when you're kind of having those different issues on different sides of your body, this indicates which aspect of you is having more distortions, and it might basically throw you off balance. So like your body might be in this internal conflict of like this right side of the body being okay, but like the issues being with this divine feminine, and then basically this aspect of you is being suppressed. So basically you have to get yourself back into that center, and that's also connected to realigning the left and the right side of your brain so that the logic could be in alignment with the intuition, right? So it's also like this purely on the body. And how is it related to the counterparts?
And again, suppress is the judgment.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected, nothing is separate. So when we are judging, oh, my feminine is suppressed, my masculine is this, we are not in balance. But to your next question, how is it connected? Well, once you are centered within yourself, the next natural step up, kind of moving the elevator up, is to realize that, oh, I'm not just the person that I am. I am more of just this body. And, oh, that's a good one. So let's say when we were inventing the curriculum for Earth School,
Right.
because we are in Earth School, we are learning, but the old version of how we were learning is, okay, I realized I balanced my feminine masculine within. Now I need to learn that there is another self, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
So imagine whoever was writing the manual say, what is the best way to introduce this subject to this level of human awareness without breaking their will and without blowing up their circuits.
Yeah.
Because imagine you in the beginning of your awakening, somebody comes in and tell you, you're not just you are 20,000 other selves.
Yep, that would be.
You will be a little bit like, so in a way, again, if we try to translate it to the simplest playground experiences, and the kids, how do you, that's interesting. How do you introduce to kids a subject that is too much for their understanding, but they need to learn so they move safely on their journey? And that's a very weird comparison, but how do you talk to kids about the subject of sex? You don't explain everything to them from A to Z. You are giving them like the lowest possible version that they comprehend. So if we go back to Earth School curriculum, okay, let's say we'll introduce the other self, the twin self, but we will introduce it in a time when they're ready for it. And
would say that there's this divine timing for everybody?
Yes, so I will stress on the right timing. Again, when the children have the needed awareness and lessons to comprehend all of it. But my understanding is that at some point the timelines got a little bit twisted. So what started to happen is that those twins started meeting at the time that they were not ready to comprehend, to understand. There was not the conscious awareness of what actually is.
You know, as you speak about this, I don't know, I literally had tears coming into my eyes, so I think it's like, I think it's triggering something, but yeah, I think that is very true. This is related on, this is actually a part of the targeting of the twin couples where they are either born on the wrong timelines, in wrong families that they are not supposed to be born in, and this could be a part of the personal targeting, but it's also part of that larger agenda against a family of consciousness. So I totally agree with this part, and I guess it triggered something.
And again, we are at the point of we're not judging what, why, what, like how, because it was not that much of the targeting, it was that the twin pair activation was needed at the time because when the twin, and actually when the counterparts, and I will explain the difference further, but when the counterparts come in union, and when I'm saying union, it's even not physical being one next to the other, meet each other. Their energies multiplies. So it was done again because that was a way to get us to the higher point. Because again, a lot of the counterparts, like myself, we are very high contracted consciousness souls. So we knew what we signed for.
Yes.
Even though we didn't know, and we still don't know, but
So
clearing for everybody that is watching and for you. Again, the victimizer, because that's what is coming up. It's like, yeah, I'm a counterpart, you are a counterpart, you know it, I know it. And this is when it's coming. Oh, they did us wrong. No, we chose to do it, even though our human selves were not aware in the moment.
Absolutely. And I think that it's also good to imagine a counterpart as like, you've got this 12-hour clock, as we were talking on the classes, and like, let's say you're the 12 and the other is the 6. And so when those two come together to the center, they actually cause the activation of the other 10 that are on the same clock as the other two. So it's basically triggering the spinning of that cosmic wheel, of that cosmic clock.
Yes. And to make the differentiation, I guess, between twin flames and the counterparts. So the counterparts are the pair that is in this lifetime. Let's say if I meet my counterpart in this lifetime, this is because we merge every other portion of ourselves all the way up, and it's time for us to collectively, as a consciousness, ascend to the next level. And I'm just going to say it as a level. No name, space, time.
Right.
Now, you mentioned the other twins on the same clock. So let's say I, me, I am one of the counterparts that in this lifetime is scheduled to ascend. And usually those are the masculine and 12, feminine and 6, to my awareness. But let's say as the feminine and 6, I mean the masculine on the horizontal, on the 9th level. Well, I will have the feeling of, yes, he is my twin. He is me. But he is not the one that is scheduled to ascend to the higher level and to come to union in this way. In that makes sense?
It does. So basically, from my understanding, if you've got this clock, like you're the 12 and the 6 is your counterpart, but the other numbers are the twins. And basically, you can help them ascend. You can also help them, like, sometimes there is also the code exchange when one twin may need some kind of an help from the other, but it's never the same thing as the counterpart, which is like, it's you. I mean, they are also you, but he's like, you the closest. and basically you becoming the one body, you can even open the gates together, you can do amazing things, right? That's this closest of the closest connections.
But this is where the difference comes in. Because when you meet, like we were made to believe, because with the mix of the timelines and everybody meeting out of schedule is what was happening. You were meeting your twins that are not scheduled. I mean, because even if it's not your counterpart, it's still, like you said, it's merge of consciousness, merge frequency for the collective. But on a personal level, for the humans involved, it's like these humans are not frequencing on the same level. There is a codependency. Like they don't know the unconditional love level. So if you are not in a state of awareness and state of consciousness of unconditional love, you're in that trap of I need this person. I cannot live without person. Does that make sense?
It does. So you would say that basically this kind of true relationship can only take place with the counterpart.
When the counterpart and when both of the counterparts are in union wholeness within themselves, like the feminine, masculine within themselves, and on conscious level, it's you reach the frequency of unconditional love. And what is unconditional love? It's like you don't need this person. You don't. It's not like you cannot live without that person. I don't even know how to explain it because it's a level that there is no expression with human words. It's like a feeling in your body.
Yes, I think you cannot quite express it. I sense that it's more about being in that feeling and knowing that even if that person is like, I think that there could be situations when your other counterpart is like, well, what are you talking about, right? Like you can sense that on a higher self level they are like, whoo, all the way up there, but their human might be a little bit confused, a little bit clueless. But even if the relationship on the 3D doesn't last, like you know that still you are one and you are always.
And this is the thing, this is the main thing, because it's not necessarily about a romantic relationship. It's a co-creating relationship that goes beyond the romantic, even if you're not, and that is the trap. Oh, I need to be romantically involved with that person. No, you don't need to. You can experience, like every one of you, it's individual human with your own experience. You can be a one consciousness altogether, and you can choose in the physical each to have their own experience. But it's still in the co-creation of energy it's where the process is moving and it's still contributing to the higher collective view of consciousness, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So it's again kind of like, I think, a part of our programming that twins are always supposed to be in romantic relationships and the counterparts. I would say that it depends on the mission. If you're supposed to spend your whole life together, that's what it's meant to be. But if each one of you is choosing a specific mission, and very often I would say that it's also related to the grids, where you have to be in specific grid locations, sometimes in different ones, to also exchange the frequency. So it circulates from one area to the other. So
yeah, because the way the counterparts appear or set up is the feminine is the one that anchors the energies, the frequency, and the masculine is the one that transmits.
yeah, the transmits the frequencies. Yes, the electric one.
So it is, again, everything is energy level connection. And to come to the counterpart, again, you first start with the baby steps of, oh, you have another self. And you know what? You are the same thing as this other self. You are not separate. On the higher plane, you are one. Two are one. And then once you get used to knowing that you're not just one, you're two, it's like, oh, by the way, we have that clock with 12 other of you that you're now merging and you have the awareness. And then once you're kind of warmed up to that level, by the way, you have 12 times 12 on the next level.
That blew other people's minds on the classes, didn't it?
This is why we need to teach and learn it the way it was, because again, you cannot start with you are 20,000 cells in other bodies and in one consciousness. But and maybe to touch, because this is something that you mentioned and it's coming up as it needs to be addressed.
All right.
Because it's something that is when you said the evil twin, hold on, where I'm going with this.
Well, I'm curious myself because I've been using it in two different contexts.
Yes, I know you're using it in different contexts, but there is a lot of people talking about, before you meet your real twin, which, let's say, will be the counterpart you meet your karmic twin.
No.
And what the term for a karmic twin is, from what we explain, the understanding is like those other twins that you don't meet on time, they're seen as a karmic twin and as something bad that will hurt us or are here to learn, teach us the hard way.
Yeah.
So let's say the twin that I had before meeting my counterpart was what in the public is defined as a karmic twin. One of the lower ones. But from the awareness that I have, because again I am in the Ascension at understanding all the steps, I knew that the higher self that I'm connected, it's a different than the human. Even though the human was very much the same frequency. And that human was actually someone that I was very much connected with. I had many lives together with the human. And it was like, it was a memory in my internal file. It was a file that, let's say, my lifetime with this human was saved as the best human life that my soul ever had on earth. And for me, that came up as when I find out as a human, I had all my lessons. I had a loving family. I had him. We had a beautiful family. At the end of it, I was strangled in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that again, it was karmic because yes, it brought me pain,
Experience
in this lifetime, but also because I had the awareness and I was connecting on the spiritual level. He brought me the knowing in my body of what love, soul love, is. Is I had, and that's why it was.
So to kind of like summarize it, I would say that the karmic twin is more about the fact that you've got those twins from, you know, the other sides of the clock, and you come into different situations, into different experiences to learn together, to clear anything that used to be between the two of you in previous lifetimes. When it comes to the evil twin, well, that's basically somebody literally inserted into your hologram to just actually block you from coming across those other true twins, no matter what kind of level that is, because again, we've got all sorts of levels of twins. So, wow, there's been a lot of things we've been talking about. Is there anything else you would like to share before we finish? Any kind of last message, or do you feel like we just went through everything we were supposed to?
I don't know, we went through so many things. I feel like there will be more conversation, but I think it's safe to say that we cover enough not to blow anybody's fuse.
I think so.
But to give enough understanding of what is what and what is not, and how everything is and is not, and it's in the middle and it's neutral, and
Yes, and basically getting out of this dualistic way of thinking. So thank you so much. It's been so lovely with you, Mimi. I absolutely love our conversations, and I'm sure that we are going to do this again. And just want to remind that all of those who are listening to our show on Rumble, please make sure to click the thumbs up and the follow buttons so that this platform that we are on could keep growing. I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm also very grateful to be here with you. So thank you so much, and I guess until the next time, right? So much love, and thank you for everybody that is listening to us, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.
everyone.